They already decided who you are, not by truth, but by convenience, not by observation, but by assumption. They looked at you once, measured you in seconds, and placed you in a box small enough to ignore. Too quiet, too slow, too average, too harmless, good. Because while they reduce you to something predictable, you gain the one advantage they will never recover from: invisibility. They don't watch you closely. They don't question your moves. They don't prepare for your rise. And that is where power begins. Understand this clearly. The game is not about proving them wrong. That's what weak men do. They react. They argue. They seek validation. You don't. You let them believe the lie, because every second they underestimate you. Their guard drops. Every careless word they speak around you is information. Every time they dismiss you, they reveal their blind spots, and you collect it all. Silently, patiently, ruthlessly. Machiavelli never taught men to be loud. He taught them to be effective. And effectiveness does not announce itself. It calculates. It adapts. It strikes when the outcome is already decided. So while they laugh, you observe. While they talk, you listen. While they compete for attention, you build leverage. You are not here to be seen. You are here to become unavoidable. Now stop for a second and understand what this means. You are no longer the underestimated one. You are the unseen threat. Type this in the comments. They don't see me coming, because the moment they finally do, it will already be too late. Everyone wants results fast. Immediate respect, immediate recognition, immediate dominance, and that urgency destroys positioning. Because impatience forces exposure, moves become rushed, intentions become visible, plans collapse before they mature. Most lose not because they're weak, but because they can't wait. They act too early, speak too soon, reveal too much. And once timing is broken, control is lost. Power doesn't move fast. It moves precisely. It waits until resistance drops, until patterns are clear, until outcomes are predictable. That waiting phase is where most fail, because nothing looks like it's happening. No applause, no visible progress, no recognition, just silence. And in that silence, doubt starts creeping in. Questions start forming. Is this working? Should something be done now? Am I being left behind? That's the test. Not skill, not intelligence, restraint. The ability to hold position, while everything around demands movement. Because the truth is, most opportunities don't require force. They require timing. And timing is invisible to the impatient. While others rush, mistakes increase. While others compete, positions weaken. While others expose themselves, the board becomes clearer. And clarity creates precision. Precision creates control. Then comes the moment, no noise, no warning, just execution, clean, direct, final. That's the difference, not louder, not faster, sharper. Because when timing is right, effort feels minimal, resistance feels absent, outcome feels inevitable. That's not luck, that's calculated patience. Think back, how many times did acting too soon cost the advantage? How many times did waiting feel uncomfortable, but would have changed everything? Exactly. That discomfort is where discipline is built. So the shift is simple. No rushing, no forcing, no chasing, just observing, just preparing, just waiting for alignment, because the right move at the wrong time is still the wrong move. Pause. Let this settle. Power is not about constant action. It's about timed action. Type it in the comments. I move when the moment is mine. Most people reveal everything. Not intentionally, but inevitably. Give them time, give them comfort, give them attention, and patterns start leaking. Words become longer, details become unnecessary, truth starts slipping through noise. Because silence makes people uncomfortable, and discomfort forces expression. That's why constant talking is a weakness. It fills space, but it also exposes position. The need to explain, the need to be heard, the need to prove. All signals, all readable, and anything readable can be studied. Observation is where real control begins, not surface-level watching, deep pattern recognition. Who interrupts? Who agrees too fast? Who seeks approval before speaking? Who changes tone under pressure? Everything reveals something. Micro-reactions, eye contact, timing of responses, all data. Most ignore it. Too busy talking, too focused on being seen, too distracted to notice. That's why they miss everything. And missing information means losing control. Because decisions made without awareness are always flawed, so the approach changes. Less speaking, more listening, less reacting, more noticing. Presence without noise. That's where people start revealing themselves. They talk more around silence. They explain more around calm. They expose more around stillness. And the more they reveal, the clearer the board becomes. Intentions become visible. Weakness becomes obvious. Strategies become predictable. That's leverage. No confrontation needed. No pressure applied. Just awareness. And awareness creates precision. Think about it. How many times did someone reveal everything just because space was given? How many times did silence make others uncomfortable enough to expose more? Exactly. That's the advantage. Not louder, not aggressive. Aware. Because the one who sees clearly doesn't need to rush. Every move becomes calculated. Every decision becomes sharper. And control becomes natural. Pause. Let this sink in. Information is always available, just rarely noticed. Type it in the comments. I observe more than I reveal. Not to show others, but to remind yourself that power begins with awareness. Because once observation becomes habit, nothing stays hidden for long. There's always that moment. A word hits wrong. A look feels disrespectful. A situation triggers the ego, and instantly, the impulse rises. Respond, defend, prove, win the moment. That impulse has cost more power than failure ever will. Because reaction exposes position, it shows what matters too much. It shows where pressure works. It shows how control can be taken. Most never see this. They confuse reaction with strength. They think fast responses mean dominance. They believe speaking more gives them control. It doesn't. It makes them readable. And anything readable is controllable. That's why detachment changes everything. Not emotionless, controlled. Not silent out of fear, silent out of strategy. A pause instead of an instant reply. A look instead of unnecessary words. A calculated response instead of emotional noise. That gap is power. Because in that space, clarity appears. Patterns become visible. Who needs validation? Who cracks under pressure? Who hides insecurity behind volume? Who talks just to be seen? Everything becomes obvious when emotion is removed from the lens, and once seen, it can't be unseen. Silence starts doing the work. It creates pressure. It makes others uncomfortable. It forces them to fill the gap, and in that filling, they expose everything. Too much talking, too much explaining, too many mistakes, while control stays intact, calm, still, unreadable. That's where the shift happens. No emotional spikes, no predictable reactions, no easy access to what's going on internally. And what can't be understood, can't be controlled. Emotion isn't removed, it's refined, used with precision, shown with purpose, held back when unnecessary. Because controlled emotion is a weapon. Uncontrolled emotion is a liability, and liability has no place in power. Think about it. How many times did reacting weaken the position? How many times did silence hold more strength, but was ignored? Exactly. From this point, less reaction, more awareness, less noise, more control. Lock this in, type it in the comments. I control my reactions. I control the outcome. Because once reactions are mastered, External situations stop controlling the outcome, and control becomes permanent. Reality doesn't control outcomes. Perception does. What is seen, believed, assumed, that's what shapes behavior, and most never question it. They show everything, speak everything, reveal everything, then wonder why they're predictable. Because transparency without strategy is self-sabotage. Power operates differently. It understands one rule: people respond to what they think is true, not what actually is. That's where control begins. Every word, every pause, every expression, all of it sends signals. Signals build images. Images create assumptions. Assumptions dictate reactions, and reactions can be controlled. Most leak too much. Emotion on the face, intent in the voice, insecurity in their actions. Nothing hidden, nothing protected. That makes them easy to read and easy to play. Control requires the opposite: selective visibility. Not fake, filtered, not deceptive for chaos, strategic for advantage. Strength is shown when needed. Silence is used when stronger. Information is revealed only when it serves. Everything else stays contained. Because once everything is visible, nothing holds weight. Mystery creates pressure. Uncertainty creates caution. And cautious people make slower, weaker moves. That's leverage. A calm face in a tense moment. A measured response in a heated situation. A silence where others expect reaction. It shifts dynamics instantly. Control moves away from noise and into presence. And presence, when controlled, becomes influence. Think about it. How often do people misjudge based on surface? How often do assumptions drive decisions? Exactly. That's the weakness. And weakness creates opportunity. So perception becomes a tool. Not something left to chance, something designed. Less explanation, less exposure, less need to be understood. More control, more precision, more intention behind every signal. Because once perception is controlled, the game shifts. Now others react, while position stays steady. Pause. Understand this clearly. Being real doesn't mean being fully visible. Being powerful means being selectively seen. Lock this in. Type it in the comments. I control what they see. I control how they move. Because once perception is mastered, influence stops being random and becomes engineered. Discipline is misunderstood. It's not motivation, not hype, not temporary focus. Discipline is control in moments that don't feel good. A delayed result, a disrespectful tone, an unfair situation. That's where it shows. Because control doesn't break in chaos. It breaks in small moments. A quick reaction, a sharp reply, a decision made in emotion, small cracks. And once cracks appear, pressure finds them. Most ignore this. They focus on big actions, working harder, pushing more, doing more. But real discipline is quieter. It's restraint, holding back when reacting feels right, staying calm when ego gets hit, keeping standards when no one is watching. Because impulse feels powerful, it feels justified, it feels necessary, but it exposes everything. Where patience is weak, where ego is sensitive, where control is missing. And once that's visible, leverage is gone. So the approach changes. No instant reactions, no emotional decisions, no unnecessary words. Everything becomes measured. A pause before speaking, a moment before acting. That gap protects position. Clarity returns. Mistakes decrease. Control stays intact. Most move on feeling. That's why they stay inconsistent. Real discipline is stable. Same mindset under pressure, same control under stress, same standard every time. Because private behavior creates public outcomes. Think about it. How many times did one reaction cost everything? How many times did silence feel harder but would have been stronger? Exactly. That's the pattern. And patterns either get controlled or they control everything. So no more leaks, no more slips, no more emotional exposure. Just control. Calm, composed, deliberate. Pause. Understand this. Discipline isn't forced. It's built. Type it in the comments. Discipline over comfort. Not for attention, but to set the standard. Because once discipline becomes identity, nothing external can shake it. Plans mean nothing without execution. Ideas feel powerful. Strategies sound intelligent. Thinking creates the illusion of progress. But none of it matters until action is taken. That's where most fail. They overthink, they wait for perfect timing, they prepare endlessly, but never move. Because action feels risky, it exposes ability, it invites judgment, it removes the comfort of planning, so they stay stuck in thought, and time moves without them. Power doesn't respect hesitation. It rewards execution, not reckless action. Calculated action. Moves made with awareness. Steps taken with intention. Decisions backed by observation. Because execution without thinking is chaos, but thinking without execution is useless. Balance creates advantage. Observe first. Understand patterns. Wait for alignment. Then act. Clean, direct, without hesitation. No over-explaining. No second-guessing. No emotional interference. Just execution. That's what separates control from potential. Most hesitate at the critical moment. Doubt appears, fear increases, comfort pulls them back, and the opportunity disappears, not because it wasn't there, but because it wasn't taken. That's the difference. Not smarter, not stronger, more decisive. Because once clarity is reached, delay becomes weakness. Execution must follow. Immediate, precise, final. Think about it. How many times was everything understood, but action never happened? How many opportunities were clear, but hesitation killed them? Exactly. That's the gap. And that gap decides everything. So the standard changes. No endless planning, no waiting for perfect conditions, no fear of movement, just clarity followed by action. Because power is not in knowing, it's in doing. At the right moment. Pause. Let that settle. Ideas don't change outcomes. Execution does. Lock this in. I act when others hesitate. Type it in the comments. Not to prove anything, but to build the habit. Because once execution becomes natural, opportunities stop being missed and start being taken. You want it to work. That's the problem. The need for results, the need for things to go right, the need for success on this attempt. That pressure builds quietly, and once pressure builds, clarity drops. Decisions become rushed. Patience disappears. Focus starts shifting from process to outcome. That's where mistakes begin. Because when results become emotional, control weakens. You start forcing things, overthinking moves, acting out of urgency instead of precision. And desperation shows, in tone, in timing, in energy. Others feel it, and once it's felt, leverage drops. That's why detachment is power, not lack of care, lack of dependency. Effort stays high, standards stay strict, but outcomes don't control your state. Win, stay steady, lose, stay steady, no emotional spikes, no identity attached to results, just adjustment. Because every outcome is feedback, not success, not failure, information. And information sharpens execution. Most take results personally. They celebrate too early. They collapse too fast. That instability breaks consistency. And without consistency, nothing compounds. So the shift happens here. You stop needing it to work. You focus on doing it right. No forcing, no chasing, no emotional attachment to timing. Just clean execution. Again, again, again. Because when there's no pressure, performance improves, decisions become sharper, moves become precise, timing becomes natural. Think about it. How many times did needing a result ruin the process? How many times did pressure create mistakes? Exactly. That's attachment. And attachment blinds. So you detach, not from effort, from outcome. Pause. Let that settle. Results don't create control. Detachment does. Lock this in. I improve without emotion. Type it in the comments. Not to convince anyone, but to reprogram focus. Because once outcomes stop controlling you, performance starts working for you. The plan will fail, not completely, not always, but at some point, something won't go as expected. That's not the problem. The problem is rigidity, sticking to one approach, holding on to one idea, refusing to adjust when reality shifts. That's how positions collapse. Because the environment doesn't care about intention, it changes, it moves, it evolves, and anything that doesn't adapt gets left behind. Most resist this. They get attached to their method, their timing, their way of doing things, and when it stops working, they double down instead of adjusting. That's ego, and ego destroys adaptability. Because adaptation requires one thing: detachment from being right, seeing clearly what's working and what's not, without emotion, without denial, without hesitation, then adjusting, fast, clean, without resistance. That's where control stays. Because flexibility creates advantage. If one path closes, another opens. If one method fails, another replaces it. No panic, no frustration, just recalibration. Most panic when things change. They freeze, they overthink, they hesitate, and hesitation creates loss. While they're stuck, others adjust. That's the difference. Not stronger, not smarter, more adaptable. Because the one who adjusts fastest controls the outcome. Think about it. How many times did holding onto one way cost progress? How many times did refusing to change make things worse? Exactly. That's rigidity, and rigidity breaks under pressure. So the mindset shifts. No attachment to method, no attachment to plan, no attachment to being right, only attachment to results. And results come from adaptation. Observe, adjust, execute, again and again, until it works. Because control is not about forcing reality, it's about aligning with it, faster than everyone else. Pause. Let that settle. Survival isn't enough. Control requires evolution. Type it in the comments. I adjust fast. I stay in control, not to prove anything, but to build the mindset. Because once adaptation becomes natural, nothing can trap you, and nothing can stop you.